Hi guys, I'm recording this from my phone, so forgive like the crappy quality or whatever, but in this video I want to talk about social anxiety disorder. It's something I've touched on a couple of times before, but this time I really want to kind of get into it so that you guys, can help raise awareness with me because I'm currently facing a few things in my life and have over the years, as I'm sure a lot of you have, if you suffer from social anxiety disorder as well. So the point of making this video is for basically raising awareness for the invisible disease. So basically, social anxiety disorder, for people who don't know, it is an invisible disease, disorder that affects people. It's one of those things that was like, well, I can't see it, so I can't understand how it's there. Well, it's very real. Social anxiety disorder is defined as the extreme fear of being scrutinized and judged by others in social or performance situations. And about 15 million Americans suffer from social anxiety disorder, and the typical onset age is usually 13. Personally, that sounds about right when it started with me, except I remember being nervous in public, like, as way back to when I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old. About half of the people who suffer from social anxiety disorder live with the symptoms for 10 or more years before seeking help, and some people never seek help at all. I'm one of those people who never sought out help because I felt like medications weren't the right way for me to go. So I've been spending about the last 10 years of my life trying to basically harness my own energy and try everything that I could think of in the feasible world to control it, and it still strikes without warning when I least expect it, even though I believe that I have made about 60% progress towards, a more normal life over the last 10 years, which is a pretty good job considering, and I'm quite proud of myself. So, social anxiety disorder, basically what it is we are terrified that we will humiliate or embarrass ourselves, just kind of living day to day in general in any situations. We pretty much always feel like we're responsible for the bad moods or otherwise kind of unprecedented actions of those around us. Like if everybody's quiet, we think that we did something to offend people. Even if we can't think of anything we might have done, we will spend that time worrying about and trying to figure out what it is we did to piss everybody off. It's that bad. We think that we are directly responsible for everything. We think that hushed conversations, no matter where they are, if they're between coworkers, classmates, strangers, we think that they're a hushed conversation about us. We think that people are talking about us and judging us and making fun of us. As such, we are nervous to make new friends, engage in any kind of just casual conversation, just like with a gas station clerk or whatever. Like, we get petrified when someone strikes up a conversation with us. We just kind of like choke up and we don't know what to say. It might sound strange to someone who, whose brain operates normally, but it really is a fear of saying the wrong thing or looking stupid or coming off as annoying or any other list of things that one might be made to feel awkward in a situation. We are afraid that we are going to say something so incredibly dumb, and anything that we say, even if it is normal and it comes out as normal, and the other person doesn't think anything of it and they think it's normal, we think we just said the dumbest thing in the world and we look like a hugest jackass ever, and then we internalize it and we start freaking out thinking, oh my god, this person thinks I'm so stupid, like, even if it's completely normal. There is no rational way about this. Once someone with social anxiety disorder actually does happen to make a friend, which usually takes quite a lot of time, it's usually a coworker or a classmate or someone that you're around a lot and you just sort of are in an environment where you're kind of forced to get to know each other and interact and everything. Once we finally meet a person that we feel comfortable engaging with over time, it becomes like one of our chosen people. So those people are about the only ones we feel comfortable around. And if we would go to a social outing or whatever, first of all, we avoid social outings like the plague. And if we do go, we always take one of our chosen people kind of as a buffer because they know what's going on with us and we're comfortable with them so we can talk to them and everything. And if they leave us, even for a minute, just to use the bathroom, to get a drink refill, to say hi to someone else, we freak out. we freak out. We're like, oh my God, you left me alone. Now I'm freaked out. It's almost like being naked on a stage in front of an audience. That's how exposed and vulnerable and frightened we feel if we are left alone in a social situation like this. So once we meet this chosen person or chosen people, like our little close knit group of friends, or whether it's a significant other or a family member or whatever, any observer of our interaction with that person or those persons, any observer would think, oh, they don't have social anxiety disorder. It looks completely normal, because it does appear that we don't have anything wrong with us because we're comfortable with these people. So we don't have that anxiety around that person. So we are pretty much normal around these people. But in the back of our minds, or rather in the insides of our minds, it's still very much prevalent. It's there. Another characteristic of people with social anxiety disorder is we tend to apologize a lot. We apologize way too much because we feel like we are responsible for everything. We feel like we screw up a lot. We feel like we are a constant inconvenience to people. We feel like people are always mad or annoyed with us just when we're being ourselves. So, yeah, we apologize a lot. At least I know I do. We have a huge fear of talking on the phone. Not all people who have social anxiety disorder do, which is SAD, by the way, SAD. Not all of them do, but most people do. It's just like a thing, like an unknown, and being put on the spot for conversation with someone you don't know, or even someone you do know. Like, you don't know how to end the conversation, you don't know how to start. It's just like this, the fear of communication without the kind of the buffer of like an in-person, face-to-face body language thing. So even myself, when I start a new job, even if it's a job I've been doing for years, like I've had the same job for about 6 years now, I know how to answer the phones. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what to do. But every time I move to a new store, I avoid the phones for like at least a couple of weeks, or as long as I feel I can get away with, because it terrifies me that I'm going to screw up and everyone's going to hate me. I know. It's not rational. It's not logical. I don't know. But that's how it is. And I'm petrified to answer the phone until I get comfortable with my coworkers or like the delivery area or whatever. Changing schools, starting new jobs, grocery shopping, dining out, standing in line at the post office. I mean, these are daily things that are really, really affected. We feel like everyone is watching us and everyone is judging us. And even if we're doing nothing, and we cannot control those feelings. Absolutely not. We can't talk ourselves out of it. We can't logically reason with ourselves. No one on the outside can do it either. It's like if people actually try to reason with us, or, you know, talk us out of it, or try to just be like, oh, it's okay, that almost makes it worse, because like inside we're like, no, you don't understand, you don't understand, you don't know what's going on, like you have no idea like what I feel like right now. It's just a really hard thing to communicate to someone else, and we feel like people really, really don't get it, even when they say, oh yeah, I understand. It's like, no, you really don't. You don't. So that's what this video is all about, by the way. So anxiety disorders are actually sparked deep within the brain, in the amygdala, and that is the communications hub in your brain that processes sensory signals and alerts the rest of the brain that there's a threat present. And then it will trigger a response, which will translate to fear or anxiety. And then it also takes place in the hippocampus, which encodes threatening events into memories. So it sort of helps train your brain into reacting in an anxiety-provoking manner whenever there's a situation, even when it's not anxiety-provoking. And logic and reasoning and the control of appropriate emotional response is actually conducted here in the frontal lobe. So all that other stuff is deep within your brain and not in the frontal lobe, where all that stuff should be. And stress can make it even worse, which can rapidly lead into an anxiety attack. And an anxiety attack can range from mild to severe, which would be like a panic attack, which is like the fight or flight, oh my god, I have to get out or I am going to explode feeling, and that is pretty much how it is. So during anxiety attack, yes, your fight or flight response is triggered, but there isn't always a way out. So if you're at work, if you're at school, if you're at a restaurant, if you're shopping, any other public venue where you cannot just bolt because you feel like you just have to bolt, even though there's no immediate threat present, that everyone else can see, but in your mind there is, and you need to get the hell out. But you can't always. So that makes it pretty bad. And in these situations, your senses and your perception of reality becomes altered because you cannot get out of the situation that your brain is telling you is threatening, even though it's not. So your perception of reality begins to change. Your senses will either become heightened or diminished. In my case, I have what I affectionately refer to as the Bob Evans wall, which happens because I can't dine out in places unless I'm like really comfortable, it's a really good day, and I'm with someone, one of my chosen people, which is usually Mike, my boyfriend, or my mom. And I refer to it as the Bob Evans wall because that's where I dine out the most and have been since I was a kid. So what happens is, now, assuming that I'm actually able to eat food, which I usually can't if I'm dining out because my stomach sort of shuts down because I'm like, okay, everybody's watching me. Everyone's watching me eat. They're watching what I eat. They're judging what I'm getting, what I'm ordering, and how I'm eating it. So that always tends to shut my stomach down, and I just can't eat out in public. But if I can, my taste will become affected. I can't actually taste my food very well. My sight becomes weird. This is sort of hard to explain. It looks like I'm viewing the world through like really thick plexiglass. Like there's just kind of a wall between me and the rest of the world. That's why I call it the Bob Evans wall. And my hearing will become so incredibly heightened that every single sound that's going on in the restaurant, down to like the ticking clock, to the clicking of a pen, to a spatula in the back, it all blurs together and blends together and just grows into this deafening roar and this cacophony in my ears, well, in my head rather, and it's just so horrible. And there it is. And that's usually when I'm like, okay, I need to get out now. So that's usually when I'm like, okay, I have to get out of here. And I usually excuse myself and I leave. I have to go outside, change my environment, and it usually dissipates within a few minutes. And I don't know what happens if I stay in that environment because I've never stuck around long enough to find out what happens, because I really don't want to. So just as another piece of information, a lot of people with social anxiety disorder don't come forward with it because it's that thing about being judged, and being afraid that people aren't going to understand or take it seriously, because a lot of people don't take it seriously, even if you tell them. So we're sort of conditioned that anyone that we do confide in, they're going to be like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, or, oh, can't you just do this, or can't you just do that, oh, it's okay, blah, blah, blah. Like, people just don't take it seriously enough, because it really is a very serious thing, and it affects us and hinders our daily life. It makes coping with it, even harder, because it's not as easy as like, oh, just do this, or just get over it, or just, you'll just have to do this. It's just not that easy for us. Since it isn't something that people often talk about, a lot of people don't research it, a lot of people don't know about it, outside of those who suffer from it, obviously, and some of those people don't even know a lot of the facts. They probably don't know where it comes from. So for the benefit of the 15 million Americans, and who knows how many other millions of people across the world who suffer from social anxiety disorder, please share this video in order to help me raise awareness of it, because on behalf of all of the silent sufferers of social anxiety, I guarantee all we want is for people to be aware of it. We want people to know that it exists. We want people to know that we suffer from it, and it is real, and it is serious, and maybe people's understanding might make us feel just that much more comfortable, which will take a great weight off of our shoulders with all of the stuff that goes on in our head that we already have to deal with on a daily basis. And for those of you watching who do suffer from social anxiety disorder, I hope this video helped you realize that you are in fact far from alone. And there is hope, and I have been dealing with it independently, free from medications, therapists. I just do research. I do things that work for me. I listen to myself. I listen to what my body wants. If I need to get out, I get out. If I need to occupy myself in some other way, I just do it. I do what I have to do. So I hope this video helped those of you who don't have it understand, and those of you who do have it feel better. So thanks for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in my next video.